Steven.
Okay. Well,
All right, what did we watch?
we watched No Through Road.
This was this is another horror short that I saw that was from, I think, a different Instagram account, but it had a couple others that we hadn't seen before, and so I was like, I will try it out. And this interestingly enough came out 16 years ago.
I mean, for six...
That's crazy.
I will say, like, big props to that time. I bet at that time, it was, like, mind-blowing.
Yeah, and this is where, like, the Matt Damon aging gif, happens, because I'm thinking, like, oh my gosh, 16 years ago, and it says on December 17th, 2008.
Yeah. I mean, but that's about how old I am. I was 18, so just a year younger. But like, yeah, I'm 35 now, so these guys are 34 years old.
Yeah, it's funny to see 2008 and be like, it was almost 20 years ago.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I guess so. Yeah,
so the plot is pretty simple. It's just a bunch of kids like driving. They got their camera, which they've got a film camera. So a lot of like glitchy things,
like digital, like they've got like a handheld camcorder, right?
Yeah. So they drive through this like tunnel or this archway, and then they kind of end up going in circles, and it kind of starts to freak them out until they get out, and then they see this like man standing there, and that's kind of when like things go haywire, and eventually the man like I guess like kills them, and then one guy gets away, but then he drives the car and then beats him with the camera, and that's the end of it.
Yeah, I mean, this horror short is like, I mean, I think you were about to say this, is like 16 years ago. It's really interesting that this sort of style has kind of come back a little bit, like this lo-fi, blown out, like the idea of like a very I don't know, a handheld, shaky. I mean, I don't want to say found footage, because yeah, it is found footage technically, but I mean, like, it is. I think the scariest stuff is when it's like, in its like flaw almost. Like, YouTube is obviously doing a lot of compression on this, but I think it looks unsettling to see like this 420p video that has all these like terrible artifacts happening, but it like makes it scarier. It makes it scarier that it's like,
it feels kind of like how like Blair Witch felt scary. Like, it was just disorienting. You don't really understand what's going on, but then you can kind of feel their anxiety increasing as like the time goes on. I will say, like, I thought this was like really good up until like the very end.
Yeah, the climax.
It just kind of felt a little schlocky, but for like, I mean, they look about that age. They look like they're probably 17s, but for 17, I can't say that this is bad at all. I thought it was great. And especially
I thought it was really good. Yeah,
for like being like 16 or 17 years ago, man. At the time, I'm sure when this came out, it was probably like, oh my God. It felt probably way more real, because like the internet was still kind of, I don't want to say it was like still blooming, but like, I mean, it still kind of felt like in its maybe like,
when was YouTube? Like, when did YouTube come out?
YouTube probably came about right about the same time. Maybe like, a little earlier, 2007, maybe. Right?
Yeah, I mean, like this, I feel like this would have been like a pretty early days of YouTube when it got released, but I don't know, like this kind of horror short, the visuals or the lack thereof, I guess, really scratches an itch that I have, which is like, I don't know. I mean, these kids are driving, I'm assuming, someplace in the UK that's more rural, and it feels like we grew up in the Midwest, and I've driven down roads that look exactly like this.
We were talking about that while we were watching it. Yeah.
And I remember being like creeped out about like, you're driving down this road, you're by yourself. What, they stop to get out of the car to look at some of these signs, and it's like, I remember, being a kid this age and driving in like some of the more farm areas, and it is unsettling, and they capture that, I think, really well.
Yeah, if you can imagine yourself driving somewhere this late, like 3 a.m., and there's nobody else on the road, and then you're like, let's say you're not on a highway. It's like you got to be in like a rural part, like Aaron was saying, like maybe like a more rural part of the state or whatever you're in, and then like I don't know, that to me like is an anxiety inducing in and of itself, but they captured those like moments and their reactions very well. So it's relatable. So I feel like it's a shared scary experience.
Yeah, I think that, I mean, it's funny because like today I would say that the scariest parts, like you said, like I thought the climax was actually probably the weakest part, but the scariest parts to me were just them driving through this completely rural, like abandoned area. And maybe I'm sure that was scary then. I mean, I'm sure that was part of the scare, but I'd be curious to know, like, in 2008, what would have been the thing that people thought was the scariest? Was it the end? Because I thought that was the weakest part at this point. Like, I thought that the scariest part was...
Yeah, just the driving and the panic and...
Yeah, just these people just driving like a road that has literally no other drivers on it. I don't know. I thought that the climax of this was a little weak. I think that they could have ended this some other ways that would have been more effective without even having a person, you know, like I don't even know if it would have needed to have a person at the end scare them and chase them. And I think part of what works against it is like this person that is at the end of this tunnel looks like it could be somebody their own age. And it probably is. It probably is like one of their friends and they dressed up or whatever. I feel like that person, I don't know. It's certainly like I think in today's movie it would be CG and it would look really bad.
Yeah,
but I don't know. I think they could have ended it in a lot of different ways that would never even involve seeing a thing.
Yeah, it almost feels like, and probably around this time is probably when it was maybe a little bit later was when it was more popular. But like Slender Man was kind of like a popular thing, and it almost kind of has like Slender Man vibes. Not like because he's. Not that he's slender, but or like long. It's just that he just looks like a human it just looks like a human.
Yeah, and throughout this short, they cut in these. You had mentioned that like obviously they're filming on some sort of digital hand camcorder that you'd be filming onto like some sort of tape. And, you know, you ever do the thing where you rewind in the camera and then you start recording. And so sometimes what you get in a recording at the end is you get some of what you're doing. And then there's like a couple seconds of whatever you recorded over, but you didn't cover this part.
Yeah.
I thought they did a pretty good job with that.
Yeah.
It seems like, it's not like, it's not thrown in. It doesn't feel like they're...
Yeah, it feels really organic.
It feels like what it would look like if it actually happened. It's not like somebody went into they didn't go to Adobe Premiere and they were like, let me cut in something.
It looks like it literally just is like found footage.
Yeah, it looks like they did this in camera, which I think makes it more authentic, more interesting.
And maybe that's, I don't know, maybe that was part of how, I'm sure they planned it, but like back in 2008 when handy cams were like still pretty prominent, like I agree. It's really well done.
Yeah, I mean, props to these guys because I think that like this is the kind of scary short movie whatever that is just as relevant today.
Yeah.
Like this is almost like a precursor to I don't know, like what are some of the lo-fi sort of like not surreal but local 57 or whatever the
analog horror.
Yeah, like analog horror. I feel like
kind of like even like things like Hell House kind of have that vibe.
Yeah.
It's like it's on a camera or Grave Encounters we've seen. Like kind of feel like that, but again, different plot points, but very effective. Very, very effective.
Yeah, I mean, props to these guys. I think that this is really cool. I think this is really well done. Mm-hmm. I think it should have more views than it has. Like, it has 4.6 million, which is good, but it also came out like, over, 15 years ago? Like,
it's pretty crazy.
I feel like it should have more than that. But anyway, I liked it quite a bit. I did think the ending was not as strong. Not its strong suit.
Yeah.
All right. Check it out.
Check it out.